It's lunchtime, and the Brooklyn Cafe is open for business. Live from Studio A in the heart of Delray Gallery, Dawn and Freddie S. and their team are ready to serve up a huge portion of fun for lunch with friends and neighbors. So let's break open that lunch pail and unwrap that sandwich you brought and take a front row seat in the Brooklyn Cafe and get ready to enjoy some humor and hot topics. It's time to get a healthy serving of hope and happiness to help your day go by with a smile. Your hosts, Dawn and Freddie S., are ready to talk about food, health, dating, or just plain dream making. If you have a story to share, a movie review, restaurant critique, or just a coincidental thing that happened to you, call in toll free at 888-565-1470 right now. Sit back and enjoy your lunch break at the Brooklyn Cafe. Here are your hosts, Dawn and Freddie S.
And we're back.
That gets louder and louder.
My bell is loose. That's a loosey bell. Anyway, welcome back. Listen, caring is sharing. Nope. Retake. Sharing is caring. So do us a favor. Share out what you got. I am out of Facebook jail, finally.
Good. It's about time.
You like that little segue?
I like
Facebook
a little segue.
Jail? Because on the set we have
Oh, yes.
Captain
We've
Diaz.
got Captain Diaz running for Palm Beach County Sheriff on the set with us on this kind of an interesting Monday morning is all I can tell you. I don't know what happens. Our crew gets out of school and they all, I think, kind of shut down. Our interns, our producers, thank you, Hector and Fernando, for being here today.
Where would
Teddy's
we be
out
without
until-
these two guys?
I don't know where we'd be.
And he hung curtains and everything. I'm talking about the DJ, and this guy ran wires. Where would we be
I think
without
I'm the
these
only non-Latino in this whole
guys?
studio
I tell
today.
you,
is all I can
querida,
tell you.
get into the game. Because
That's
you
all
know
I
what they
can tell
say.
you.
You know, I'm really proud of the fact that we have a Latino running for sheriff. And I'm going to, you know, Sunday's my show, Dawn with Dawns, and I'm going to talk it up big because it's about time. And next I'm going to get another, it's like Lopez says, a president, Latino president, which I am all in favor of as well. I like to get a smart guy in there, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's never heard of, though. It's never heard about Latinos having the, I mean, what's the name of the guy, the Cuban down in Miami? The, I don't even know what his name is.
Marco Rubio?
Yeah, him, Rubio.
Senator
Rubio is down there, and he's somebody, right? He's been in the game. I used to be, I used to work for Charlie Rangel. I was his congressional aide, and Charlie showed me the real deal about politics, which is not necessarily what you're voting for. He showed me how guys go in there and they make deals and yada yada yada, and I was shocked. They changed the federal lines where he has some of Yankee Stadium, which is in the Bronx. And he became the head of the Ways and Means Committee and everything else. So I'm really proud of the fact that Captain Diaz is on the set today.
Thank you.
Because, you know, not for nothing, a Latino, I don't care. As long as they can walk and talk, I'm pretty sure you're going to be educated enough to be involved in this thing. And I'm proud of the fact that you're here doing your gig. And I'm dying to find out what the hell you're thinking. Why'd you get involved?
Well, something has to be done, right? The current process that we're going through right now within the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, as far as I'm concerned, is not acceptable. I don't believe that just because it's an elected position that policies should be mandated based on politics. I believe as a sheriff you serve the people, and when you do that you need to put politics aside and think of people first. Therefore that explains my slogan, which is always citizens before politics.
I was just going to say, because we don't ever often talk politics on the show, because it's just one of these muddied areas where
Absolutely.
no one can ever agree and everyone agrees to disagree or they just disagree, but no one ever agrees on politics.
That's correct.
Right? But this is different. And we were just talking before the segment started, is that I didn't realize that sheriff now is party-based, because before it had been nonpartisan.
That is correct.
And you're telling me now, after 4 elections, that it's now back to being partisan.
That's correct. Actually, this would be the 5th election, but this one now has become a partisan election because the laws changed back in April. Prior to, I believe it was 1990, it used to be also a partisan election, and then I believe it was under Sheriff Ed Bulick had that change to become a nonpartisan race. But after some review done by our legislative branch up in Tallahassee, that's been changed, and now we're back to being a partisan race.
Because to me, it seems, just as you said, we're talking about citizens, we're talking about the people of our county, right? Our children, our safety, our school systems. Nothing to do with politics.
Correct.
This is people. Although
Correct.
we could say that, I guess, about everything. But honestly, right, it's about the people, where you live. So tell us some of the platforms, some of the things that you're really looking to change and strive for.
Well, in order to make change, you have to take a look at the past and the current, what's been going on, and identify if we do need change. Because change for the sake of having change, obviously, is not always necessary, and it's not always, the outcome is not always favorable,
True.
right? So that being said, I mean, just take a look at our past situation that we just had with Mr. Epstein. Everybody knows about that case, right? And I was very disappointed in our sheriff when he announces, or incumbent, our sheriff currently right now, Rick Brashaw, where he announces on the media through a press release that Mr. Epstein qualified for work release based on the fact that he wasn't a registered sex offender, that he was only a convicted sex offender. I about dropped out of my chair when I read that article. First of all, anyone that knows anything about law enforcement fully understands that you are a convicted sex offender first. You're convicted by the courts. You're then sentenced to your term in jail. And then after you do your term and you leave and you're released back to the public is when you register. And then you become a registered sex offender. So the problem that I have with that whole situation is real simple. You cannot say that your policy within the sheriff's office clearly states that sex offenders do not qualify, right? Do not qualify for work release, yet he, Mr. Epstein, is qualified on the basis that he wasn't registered yet. He was only a convicted sex offender. So I found that appalling. This man was allowed to be released on work release for up to 12 to 14 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week, for approximately 8 to 10 months. Also, a detail was provided for him using deputy and Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office resources.
How the hell does that? How do you do that?
Well, that's where politics come in. See my whole point? That's where politics comes in. I'm not going to go into detail how they got to that point. That's something you would have to ask Sheriff Brasher himself directly. But I can tell you, Sheriff Diaz will not allow that. I don't care if you're a billionaire, a millionaire, or dead broke.
It's about money.
If you're a sex offender, you're not walking the streets while you're supposed to be in jail. That's just not going to happen. There is no work release for you. And if it's by some case court ordered by the judges, then we're going to go talk to the state attorney's office, and we're going to mandate, and we're going to ask, and if we need to go see the governor, and if we need to take it all the way to the White House or the Florida Supreme Court, we will do so. But I will not allow the courts to dictate to the sheriff of the county who should and shouldn't qualify for work release, especially on a sex offender case.
And we're talking about sex offenders. Let's talk about the kids. What's going on with our school system?
Right. Well, that's a whole another complicated topic. So I say this on my platform, and I don't know if you've had the opportunity to take a look on my platform, my videos and so forth that I've spoken. I've been very outspoken about our schools. So let's put it in perspective first. Palm Beach County is very unique in itself. Why do I say that? Well, mainly because Palm Beach County has its own police department for the school. It's called Palm Beach County School Board Police. Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office is not responsible for providing security to our public schools. Now, there's been a new House bill that came out that the county and the sheriff does have to provide either training for the school safety officers for those charter schools and or provide security for the charters and private schools in the county pocket areas. That's not good enough for me. And here's what my proposal is. Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office is the largest agency in Palm Beach County, right? It has the largest training division, the most qualified personnel working there, which I'm very proud to say that I came from that. That being said, there is no current training between the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office and School Board Police Department. There are no current training on active shooters or policies combined with School Board. What does that mean? Right now, if God forbid that we have an active shooter in one of our schools, at our public schools, our School Board Police Department will respond. We will respond once we are notified through their dispatch center. When an officer arrives at a school, ladies and gentlemen, let me say this to you. And I like to use this as an example, it's going to get your attention. Do you all remember the first time you walked into high school, your first day, or middle school, and you had 7 or 8 classes and you had to go find them?
Yep.
Do you remember how stressful that was?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember how difficult it was to find those classes?
Sure.
Now imagine doing that under fire. Imagine children screaming, teachers screaming, running down the hallway in every direction, and nobody can find the classroom. So here's what we're going to do under Lauro Diaz's administration. The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office deputy, every deputy that has a school in their sector, okay, will go to each school. They will walk that school on a daily basis until they memorize that school. They will also partner up with the school resource officer that's working, even though they're not from the same department. They will build a bond. They will have each other's cell phone number. They will communicate with each other on a daily basis. And I cannot see for 1 second the chief of police from school board, from Palm Beach County School Board, objecting to this. There's no way any chief of police would ever object to anything like this. Because at the end of the day, our children are most precious commodity, right? I mean, they're everything, right? So why would we not put everything forward that we can to make sure our children are secure? So to follow up on that, here's what happens. There's a lot of confusion on this. 911 call comes out, there's an active shooter. People are always thinking, oh, well, SWAT's on their way. Ladies and gentlemen, it takes over an hour for SWAT to get there and get set up and do their entry. It's over by then.
But wait a minute. Why does it take an hour? Let's start
For SWAT to
backwards.
get there?
Because I see SWAT on TV, they get there in 15 seconds.
Well, you just answered the question. It's TV.
So it's not real
You don't
life.
believe everything you see on TV. I hope not.
I'm thinking I don't.
No, it does not. I was a SWAT commander for many years. I was in SWAT for many years. I was also on the SWAT team in the U.S. Army. And I'm here to tell you, from the time the page goes out to the time we arrive to the scene, we dressed up, we have our quick briefing, and we deploy, you're looking at 45 minutes minimum.
So then that isn't a solution.
That's not a solution. You're present, your active officers, your road patrol deputies, what you see out there, ladies and gentlemen, every day, driving up and down the street, that's who's going to come to your aid. And that's not just for active shooters. You're at home, a burglar comes into your home, you dial 911. It's not SWAT that's coming, ladies and gentlemen. It is that patrol deputy that works that sector. That's who's going to be there. So what do we need? We need more patrol deputies, we need better trained deputies, and we need them to work with other municipalities and other agencies.
Okay, so
Everything
that
should work
runs into
together.
it runs into money. Then they're going to say to you, Captain Diaz, who's going to fund this? How do we get this funded? Because you're looking to raise more expenditures to hire more sheriffs.
Well,
no?
here's the unique thing about the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. We already have the training division. We already have the training rooms. We're the unique agency that has their own firing range with their own shoot house. Everything is in place. It's just tearing down those walls and working together like two brothers and two sisters and say, hey, let's not worry about whose agency's responsibility it is. We're working this together as a team approach, and let's come up with a solution. And God forbid we ever have to activate this, at least we know what we're doing. And it'll be that much quicker.
I like this.
And time saves life. That's just the way it is.
You know, there's going to be a lot of pushback because
Oh,
I'm
of
pretty
course there
sure
is.
that the other side is saying, well, who's going to pay for this and that? Who's going to do this? I just have to ask you, when you're running for an office and when you're running for a position and you're going to say, and I'm reading what you have here, and you get elected, you win the election, and politics changes your allowable to deliver. How do you handle that? So, like, I mean, you have homelessness here.
Yes.
And I got to be honest with you, Captain Diaz. And again, I have nothing against the police department.
Sure.
I was an auxiliary at the 3-4 in New York for years. I seen people take homeless in one highway, take them to the next town, and drop them off on the same highway.
Absolutely.
Just to get them out of their vector.
Absolutely.
I mean, come on. Let's
So let me-
call it a real deal.
Give me a minute and I'll explain that to you.
You got it.
Because I want to double back on something that you started the conversation with the pushback as far as once you become a political figurehead.
Okay.
I want to look at the screen. I want to explain something to the citizens of Palm Beach County. I'm not running for office to be a politician. I'm not running for office to be a lifetime sheriff of Palm Beach County or break any records. And Sheriff Bradshaw, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm running for office to do what's right for the citizens of Palm Beach County that's long overdue. So the actions and the decisions that I make are based on what's best for the community, not based for Lauro Diaz as a politician.
Beautiful.
So I want to make sure that that's clear. And if you don't like it, don't vote for me, number one. And number two, if I win and you still don't like it, don't reelect me. It's real simple.
Okay.
It's real simple. So that answers that part. Now, the second part of the question, which was
The homelessness.
the homelessness. Thank you. I got a little...
Passionate.
He gets
Yes,
a little
I did.
emotional. There
Yes.
seems to be a little more than we're gonna have to have him back. You know, there seems to be a little more as we get closer to the elections. I'm pretty sure this stuff is gonna come out.
Oh, I'm sure it will.
Well, think
Oh, I
about
love
it. Think about running, right? You were talking about our children, talking about the lives of our citizens, our community. If you're not passionate about protecting your people, then
Then
you
don't
shouldn't
do
be in that position
Then
of
don't
what
do
you
it.
do. Right, exactly.
I love
because
it.
this is not politics, this is people.
That's
This is
right.
community.
This is life or death.
All right, so anyway, the homeless situation, well, you hit it right on the head. So obviously you have worked law enforcement. I grew up like that in law enforcement at the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. A lot of the times when we receive the call, we put and I'm not proud to say this, we take the homeless, put them in our patrol car, and take them to the county line. You're absolutely right. It happened, it has happened, and I'm sure it's still happening today. That's not a solution. It is clear that it costs approximately the taxpayers of Palm Beach County anywhere between $400 to $800. I'm not sure on the exact figure for every 24 hours at the county jail. So usually a homeless person that's arrested is placed in the county jail. We have them there for 2 to 3 days. He or she is then released, and they're back to being homeless again. So here's the different approach that we're going to take. And no, it's not going to cost any money because it's called partnering up with the community, and you'll understand it here when I explain it to you in a second. So what you're going to do is you need to identify, why is this person homeless? Let's stop going out there and just arresting them because they're homeless. Being homeless is not a crime, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? That is not a crime. I don't see any statute that says you're homeless, you should be arrested. And here's the statute you charge them with. And if there is, somebody needs to show it to me. So let's stop focusing on arresting the homeless. Let's talk to the homeless and find out what has caused this individual, he or she, to become homeless. Is it a substance abuse issue? Is it a mental issue? Is it a PTSD issue? What is it? Is it educational, training, labor? What is it? Let's identify what the cause is and work with our partners in the community. And Lord knows there's plenty of partnership that we can have in Palm Beach County, starting with the Homeless Coalition of Palm Beach County, who I've already met with and spoke with. And I sat down at length and spoke to them and identified what their true needs are. And it's more than just a homeless coalition. It takes our labor community within the county, our labor forces, it takes our educational programs, and it takes our substance abuse programs. And we all need to work together. And there's plenty of those programs that are willing to move forward and help as long as everybody pitches in. Mm-hmm. Everybody. You can't just allow one group to take that entire burden. And as the sheriff of Palm Beach County, you need to lead by example. It's not all about enforcing laws and arresting people. It's about finding solutions of what's causing these problems. Because if not, all we're doing is a revolving door. I go back and I see the same homeless within 3 days again. Same thing with the victims of domestic violence. What do we do with victims of domestic violence? I'll tell you what we do. We go to their home, we arrest the abuser, and then we leave. I can guarantee you can go back the next day and that lady or that man is still sitting there as a victim.
Well, let me ask you a question, because you do what you need to do to break the situation, domestic violence. And Tiffany, I want to get you a mic and ask you about what you know about the homeless community, because you've been there, you know the people, you've lived in the forest and under the bridge. You've been there as well, Freddie.
I have.
What do we do, and what is it? Why is this the responsibility of the sheriff's department? What can you do legally, non-legally? What are some of the resources? If our VA system or someone else doesn't step up, or some of these shelters don't step up to help the people who are victims of domestic violence, then where do they go? Then you're back in their home again.
Correct. So going back before, do you want to speak now or you want me to continue to go?
No, go ahead and continue.
Okay, so you have to, as a sheriff, you lead by example, right? So you reach out, you're the bigger person, you reach out to these members of the community and these organizations, and you bring them, or either you take a neutral place and you hold a meeting. And you say, I, as the sheriff of Palm Beach County, cannot do this by myself. I need you guys, all of us, to work together as partners, right? And I know that this will work because they've already said this to me. They just never had anyone approach them with that idea.
Really?
Yeah.
Imagine
Now
a community that works together.
Can you imagine putting a plan that actually may work?
Yeah, because everybody wants to point fingers and nobody wants to, use their money. And at the end of the day, it's taxpayers' money. It's not the sheriff's money. Every dime that runs that agency, which is over $600 million a year, is your money. It's the taxpayers' money. So, there's a lot of authority that comes by being with the sheriff, and you have to be very careful that you don't abuse that authority.
Right.
You have to, and again, I'm going to reiterate it again. Every decision you make, ladies and gentlemen, every single day must be based on what's best for the citizens of the county, not for you as a sheriff or your deputies. It doesn't work that way. If you're going down that road, you're failing.
Tiffany, let me ask you. You've been there.
Yes.
You work with the female homeless veterans, a lot of them. You've been through the VA system. You've told us before they've sent people out with sleeping bags and say,
I was on
find a way.
45th in Congress for 5.5 years.
Wow.
Either under the bridge or in the woods across from JFK Medical Center. And the VA would send their outreach people to bring me sleeping bags and food into the woods. That's a female population that's demoted and not considered for benefit of transitional housing that exists for the men. So that's an ongoing issue. Not for me. I no longer have the outrage for that because I'm better in helping other female veterans. While that was happening, I had a 9-year claims process for my service-connected disability. So I'm mentally disabled, 100% service-connected as of October. So the whole time I went untreated. My mental illness was untreated, and I was homeless, and there was no help from the VA. and my interaction with West Palm Police Department. They're very supportive in the city of West Palm with the Lord's Place. I'm
Yes.
housed by the Lord's Place.
I'm familiar with it.
So the Lord's Place has housed me from December 7th of last year until October 12th of this year. And then October 12th, I executed a lease with the Lord's Place affordable housing program. And affordable housing is the upshot issue for our homeless. And then I think in parallel, the preventing sealing up the cracks for the homeless so we don't have to call them homeless. I mean, that's a crisis term.
Absolutely.
So nobody wants, we shouldn't identify our community and social, our vulnerable population as homeless. It's a vulnerable population that's in crisis. And I think when we kind of disrupt the bystander effect of everybody saying, oh, I thought you were going to do that. Oh, I thought you were going to do
Exactly.
that. So we have people that are disimpassioned or mostly just perplexed. And so together as a community, we can make people passionate about that just simply through educating. So I would like to make a proposal, since we're going to be seeing a lot of female veterans coming to this community from a new horse ranch that's going in Ocala. It's a 3 to 9 month transitional, and we're the wraparound agency to come here to our community. Why don't we take our thriving, transitioned population and have them engage in programming so that they can step foot and help in the landscape of our Palm Beach County community, which is extremely supportive of mental illness and
Yes, they are.
a substance abuse. We are the pinnacle. We have a huge opportunity nationally to shine.
So the
Absolutely.
idea of the community working together would really works. But
Mm-hmm.
let me ask you this. So all of these new programs to put into place, there's X amount of taxpayer money.
Sure.
What's going to shift?
I have an easy answer for that.
Okay.
Okay? It's called LETF, Law Enforcement Trust Fund monies, right? Most organizations receive money through LETF. That's what the sheriff currently spreads around to the organizations that he believes that should receive the money. How he goes about that, I'm not going to speak for him. You need to ask him directly as to why this organization gets it and this organization does not.
Okay.
I can only speak about what I'm going to do if and when I'm the sheriff, God willing. That money is money that is seized through illegal activities, right? So if we arrest a drug dealer and he has money, that money is seized, it's put into this fund. And every year, at the discretion of the sheriff, that those monies are spent. It can be spent for equipment within the agency, but it can also be spent on programs such as
Community,
Homeless
yeah.
Coalition or whatever case it may be.
SAMHSA.
Yes.
With a federal program that's
Yeah.
already in place intact.
Right, but that's federal, so I'm only talking about what I can control as your
Okay.
sheriff. So
Or
I want to
us.
stick to that. By the way, before I forget, thank you for your service. I'm also a veteran, so I know and I really appreciate it. What branch did you serve in?
The United States Air Force captain.
Oh, wow, good job. I was in the Army.
Oh, yeah.
Outstanding.
The Army asked us one time to fall in, and we didn't know what they were talking
No,
about.
oh, well, of course. But I want to say thank you for your food, because every time I wanted a really good meal, I go to an Air Force base and eat. So
Yes, indeed.
yes.
Maid
So-
service at,
so-
at training.
And
at
you're a perfect example of what can be done if we use our resources correctly. And I really
Absolutely.
applaud you. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay?
So I need your help. I was trying to describe West Palm Police Department.
Yes.
They have a dedicated officer. It was Officer Pinto in West Palm, directly with the Lord's Place as community officer. And then I think they've added to that.
Yes.
And then the Lord's Place just recently raised $11 million in capital for their expansion.
That's great.
And the mission funding comes in April.
Well,
But-
what changes between, I'm glad you brought that up, because here I'm thinking we're in City of Boca. You've got the Boca Raton Police, you've got the West Palm. What changes and where does it change become county versus your cities?
Well, here's a unique thing. As the sheriff, you are the chief law enforcement executive officer of the county. So you basically have authority over each and every city, not just county pockets and county area. All right? But respectfully, though, we allow, and by statute and by city codes, there is a police department that has a police chief, and he or she should have the right to run the department as they see fit. And that's the way it needs to continue, and that's the way it should be. But as the sheriff, though, you can offer help to these municipalities. You see what I'm saying? You as Sheriff Diaz can talk to Chief Jones, let's just use that name, Chief Jones from West Palm, and say, what can I do to help you? We have more manpower, we have more resources, we have more money. How can we focus? Where can we focus it at? How are we going to bring this together and let's work together as a team? Ladies and gentlemen, whether if you believe it or not, there's a lot of ego in law enforcement.
No, really?
And there's a lot of ego in powerful positions, right?
Yeah.
One thing you're going to learn real quick is Lauro Diaz doesn't have an ego. I've never had an ego, and I don't intend on having an ego. I believe that you lead by example. You do what's right. You do what's right in your heart. What the people need, and if you're genuine with them and you're honest with them, people will see that you're real, and that's all you need to do, to be honest with you.
Let's go to commercial break. When we come back, let's talk about your experience leading up to this race and why you for Diaz? Why Diaz for sheriff? Stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
In the woods for 5 years. I caught the raccoons opening my jar of olives.
Grow your business. Using a simple keyword, drive customers right to you with just a click. Customers will receive your personalized digital business card within seconds with all your contact information in one place, including a gallery of photos, videos, and clear call to action that drives sales. Promote your products and services, or share a hot new listing with custom event pages and RSVP form, boosting qualified leads. Special offers and promotions are directly sent to your potential customers' phones with text campaigns, increasing foot traffic and creating a loyal following. Let MobiPop drive your marketing campaign. Focus on your business. Let MobiPop focus on growing it.
You have a business you want to share, ideas you want to be heard, and events you want to be known, then amp them up on Amp It Up, our new online radio station. We want your voice to be heard, so spread the word on Amp It Up. Contact us at 866-224-5422 for more information. Let's amp it up.
Excited about with this new part of the reef is to see what happens with the animals moving from one side to the other and what the growth will be from 10 years worth of mature corals and sponges and things, and what the movement will be onto the new reef.
And we're back.
And we are back at the Brooklyn Cafe TV. We're talking to Captain Diaz, running for Palm Beach County Sheriff. So many things going on, and you've touched on so many things, but let's just backtrack a little bit. Why you? Tell us about your experience, where you are, where you come from.
Okay. Real quickly here, real simple. I was born in Cuba. I arrived in Palm Beach County in 1970, and I basically grew up in Palm Beach County. I was 10 years old when I arrived in Palm Beach County. I've lived here ever since. I went to Lake Worth High School, graduated from Lake Worth High School. From there, I went in the U.S. Army, military police. I served my commitment time with the U.S. Army. I was then hired with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, where I spent the next almost 28 years working there. I worked everything from road patrol deputy all the way to command duty officer, which is captain in charge of the entire county operations division. So there's quite a bit of experience. I don't think we have enough time on this show to talk about it, so please go on my website, diazforsheriff.com, and take a look at all my qualifications and experience. But in a brief moment here, I will tell you I was the commander of the Organized Crime Bureau, which included narcotics, gangs, vice, and drug interdiction. I also was the commander of the Criminal Investigations Division, which was responsible for homicides and sexual rapes on minors and adults, and elderly abuse cases. Furthermore, I was also the training commander, where I ran the training bureau for the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office as well. I was in SWAT, as I mentioned earlier, with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office and also with the U.S. Army. And my last stint with SWAT was the SWAT commander at the Highlands County Sheriff's Office, where I served for 2.5 years, till recently, where I decided to put my name in the hat to run for sheriff of Palm Beach County, so I had to resign and retire so that I can run this campaign full time.
So you retired to become sheriff, the sheriff?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Really?
I couldn't do this working. It's impossible.
Wow.
It takes too many hours.
You wanted to ask about gangs. Because
Yes.
That's something near and dear to your heart.
Yes, I want to talk a little bit about the gang situation in West Palm Beach, because we had another gentleman that came on here, and he was talking about stuff to do as well. How is the gang situation going? What's going on?
Wow, what a great question. So, all right, so let's put it real simple. I believe now it's been about, don't quote me on the date and time, but I would say it's about 2.5 months ago. Sheriff Brashaw held a press conference, and he had all the media from Palm Beach County there. It looked really sharp. And he declared basically war on gangs in Palm Beach County. Great strategy. I thought he sounded great. It was refreshing to see that we're going to get serious about gangs. And then one of the reporters in the room, actually, and you can go and Google it and find it and watch it for yourselves, one of the reporters asked, "Sheriff, why now?" And the sheriff took a couple of seconds there to try to figure out what the answer was going to be. And the answer was real simple. The answer from Sheriff Brashaw to the citizens of Palm Beach County was, well, if you remember, back in December, a gang member shot one of my dogs in the Wellington Green Mall. And then just recently, a gang member shot one of my officers, one of my deputies, in the face. Both of those incidents are true and tragic. And that was it. That was the answer. Well, I had a huge problem with that. So what is the problem that I have with that? Being that I was also in charge of the gang division for many years in Palm Beach County. Gangs have been running rampant in Palm Beach County since the mid-1990s, really bad, and it really started in the 80s. So therefore, it's nothing new. So I'm looking at our sheriff on TV, and he says that now we're declaring war on gangs. So I said to the sheriff, myself, of course, I'm not there. So I say, why now? What have you done the last 15 years? You've been the sheriff for 15 years, so we wait till one of our dogs is shot at the mall, and we wait till one of our officers is shot in the face to declare war on gangs? Ladies and gentlemen, you're asleep at the wheel if you buy that. There's no way. There should have been war on gangs from day one. Gangs impact our entire way of life, not just when they shoot one of our officers or they shoot one of our dogs. They run havoc at our schools, in our neighborhoods, and our playground. It should have been from the get-go. So shame on you, Sheriff, for allowing 15 years to go by, and now in election year, you declare war on gangs.
So this is just an election blabble.
That's my opinion.
I hear
Think
you.
about it. I mean, you grew up in the Bronx.
Yeah,
Not to stereotype anything, but you tell me all the time.
I was in the Ghetto Brothers, yes.
You
I
know,
was
we
in a
know what
gang.
goes on in our community. We know what goes on in our school system. My kids grew up in the school system here in public school, great schools, but we know what's happening. And if we don't get to our youth, look who we've had on. We've had Jackson on, right, from Atlantic High School. You talk about a school that's totally And these kids, they come out from it. The first time we met him, he said, I got to go to prom. I'm going to steal a pair of shoes.
He said it on
But-
the air. I said, take
Wow.
it easy. We'll
But
buy
to
you a pair
him,
of shoes.
He didn't think there was anything wrong with that.
He didn't.
And he was serving, and he's made scholarships, and he was Heisman winner through the high schools. Amazing. But to him,
Heisman.
it was perfectly normal to steal a pair of shoes to go to prom, because he said all he knew from the beginning of time was everyone was selling drugs from when he was a little boy.
His whole family.
He didn't realize there was anything wrong with that, because that was his life.
That's
That
his
was,
environment.
That was normal to him, for he and his grandmother to eat.
Yeah,
You sold drugs.
sometimes you don't join a gang because you want to. Sometimes you have to. That's just the way
Right.
it is. You grow
Right.
up, and there it is. And,
Right.
and you got to do what you got to do
But maybe
just
it's
stay alive.
re-education, right? So it's working, as you say, with the communities and the schools to re-educate, what Ted Hodgkinson is doing in our school systems, to give positive reinforcement. There's
Okay.
a lot to do.
Well, there's a plan in place for that already. Again, you need to go on my site and see it. There's an entire plan just for gangs in Palm Beach County, what we're going to do with our school systems. Everybody knows about the DARE program, right? Most of our children have gone and attended that program. It's been around for over 30 years now.
It didn't work.
Right, and that's an opinion, but you're right.
Opinion. It's an opinion. It's actual mathematical fact.
Okay, well, I'm not here to debate that. I'm just here to say that we've had the DARE program in place for many years, right? Show me a program that we have in Palm Beach County for gang awareness.
I have no idea.
Show it to me, because there isn't one.
Okay, that's easy then.
I know because I called the school board police department and I asked one of their top rank officers, what program do we have in place to educate our children about gang awareness? None.
Now, why is that?
I don't know. We have to ask Sheriff Bradshaw about that. Now, I asked the school board, why haven't you done it? We don't know. So everybody tells me I don't know, right? But again, put your egos aside, work with the school board, right? Work with the school board police, work with the sheriff's office, and develop programs. We have the manpower to teach this at the schools. But it has to be approved by our legislative branch, and it has to be approved through school board, right? So
And it
the
has
kids
to
can
be
get credit.
funded, right?
And it has to be funded, right? And I'm sure we can find the money to get that funded.
Well, I got a question, because gangs in the day used to be about turf. You
Yes.
know, you had a block and you wanted to keep
Right.
it, and you used to go rumble
Right.
for a turf. It isn't about turf
No.
no more. This is big business now.
It's big business, and a lot of it is just most of the violence that you see in gang is retaliation for one gang stealing from another. It's not so much geographical area. And you're right, that's the way it started, but it's no longer that way.
Is it still in the drug trade?
And drugs still very heavily involved.
Vice and all that?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because the game
Gun
has changed.
trafficking, gun trafficking is very heavy. Also, it happens all the time. Gangs are heavily involved in that. They steal, they commit burglaries for guns. They buy them legally or illegally. Either way, guns are always involved within your gang culture.
But Captain Diaz, could that be a reason why nobody wants to talk about the elephant in the room? Because it's dangerous work. I mean, you were in
Sure.
SWAT. I understand. You understand what going into a hot zone is all
Mm-hmm.
about. I get it. Because everybody's running this way and you're the only one running that way. I get it. People's mentality is it doesn't work because they don't understand the psychology behind it.
Right.
And my question here is really simple. It's a dangerous game. Maybe that's why nobody wants to talk about the problem that we have.
Right. It is a dangerous game. Very few people can do it. Whether or not it works or not, this young man just said it's statistical proven data behind it. I'm not here to debate
Could
that.
be frustration.
But what I can debate is the fact that many children have been saved because of DARE. I can't say that DARE has eradicated drugs or
All
drug
of
use
it,
or abuse
yeah.
by children, but I can surely tell you that it has saved many kids' lives. So let's keep that in perspective also. So we have to do something. Just saying that it doesn't work or saying that we're going to give up, then it just makes it worse,
Can't do
right? That's
that.
the attitude that gets us nowhere.
Yes,
So
I agree.
You got to think
I
outside the
agree.
box, and you got to keep pushing forward.
Make adjustments with the
Right.
program because at least you got something in play.
But there's so many things that come into play. We're talking gangs, we're talking guns. And then the guns
Victims of domestic violence.
become a whole political issue about guns and everything that's going on now
Right.
because of the shootings in our schools and everyone and their amendment rights and right to bear arms and all of
Right.
that. It becomes muddied, but we have to protect our youth. At the
Right.
end of the day, we have to protect our kids in schools. We have to be able to go to the movies. We have to be able to feel like we can walk
Sure.
into a mall and know that we're safe. And that's not political. That's just
Those are
community.
facts.
That's just mankind.
That's right. You got to be able to go get gas in a gas station, not having to worry about
Right.
getting shot at.
Especially with the active shooter situations that we're experiencing basically on a weekly basis just about now, which brings me to the next point was, You know, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office currently has approximately, I want to say it's either 18 or 19 districts now, right? So each district is basically a large geographical area that is assigned a district number. So think about it in this terms. It's a small police department. So the Sheriff's Office is made up of 17, 18, 19 different smaller police departments, all working for the same sheriff, right? We all wear the same uniform, same badge. Where I'm going with this is that each one of those, what did I want to say? I lost my train of thought. Each one of those districts have a conference room, right? Larger than this room. Again, let's provide education for not just the children. What about the parents? Shouldn't the parents be aware of what to look for in their kids? Whether if it's gang issues, whether if it's narcotic issue, whether if it's prostitution issue, whether if it's an active shooter issue. Is your children's eating habit change? Is it the way he or she dresses change? Is it what he or she's looking on the internet change? And ladies and gentlemen, let me say something to you. Shame on you as a parent, and I say this with a simple, open heart. Shame on you as a parent if you allow your children to believe that they have privacy, expectation of privacy in your home. No, they don't. Shame on you. You're failing as a parent. There is no expectation of privacy in your home. Your home, your rules, your way. If your children have social media, you should, and it is your duty and your right to take a look at that social media and have those passwords and know what your kids are talking to, what they're talking about, and how they're talking about it. And again, if you're not doing it, then you're failing as a parent.
True that, because the bad guys, they're not going to ask. They're just going to take. So you got to be smart about it.
You talk about that all the time. It's failure as
all
parents.
the time.
And you and I have this conversation.
All the time.
Well, I have firsthand experience with veterans who have housing through a HUD program. It's common that a gang member will come in and take over their crib.
Absolutely.
They call it a crib.
Yes.
And so they really proliferate with guns. I've seen him hold a gun to a friend of mine in his apartment in 19th North in Dixie and Lake Worth.
Right.
There's a large gang there.
Very familiar with that area also. I know the county very, very well.
Yeah, and so that's the location, but it happens a lot with veterans who have a large compensation for a disability, and it's not uncommon that they are either approached for their meds, to purchase their meds, and that they may also commonly have a dual diagnosis of substance abuse, and they are vulnerable for a gang member to move in and take over their apartment. And they simply just know the system that once a month the VA will visit and then case manage, and so they will leave then and then return. And this person was like held at gunpoint to continue allowing the gang to use his apartment for
So
operation.
why doesn't this person reach out to the sheriff's department? It's what everybody's going to write in here.
Really good question, and that leads me to ask: Can you pull all the CAD data, all the data of all the responses to every veteran that's in the HUD VASH program? If you can look at the stats of how many frequent calls you have to respond to, say, Tiffany Kennedy or so-and-so, and run the figures and look at the expense of dispatching that type of response for safety. Those are usually wellness. Hopefully they don't turn criminal, but
Right.
Those are welfare checks.
But look at the diversity of this county, and I know we don't have a whole lot
Put a
of time.
cost to it.
You've got, our county is enormous. I know a lot of counties as well, but Palm Beach County, you go from the stereotype of Boca, and Boca is diverse, to up to Belgrade. I mean,
Right.
you've got an enormous county with different needs. How can how can you oversee all of this and still work on gangs and work on our school systems?
And drugs and
everything,
everything
drugs.
else.
You need a huge task force.
If you look on the website,
look at everything.
you're gonna tell me,
well,
if you look in the-
let's talk about what the
I think
website
that's-
is.
I
How
think
do
we're
people
gonna go on
find the
that.
website?
Well, I'll answer the question real quick. First of all, yes, it can be done and it can be managed. It's a very large agency with a lot of resources, and you just have to put the right commanders in the right location and give them focus and clear direction of what you expect from he or her to get done. So yes, it can be done, and I'm very familiar with the Western community. If you have me back, we'll talk about the Western community there, because that's a whole different animal. So we can discuss that at length. Find me, Diaz for Sheriff.com. Everything is there, and please help me financially. I need to raise money to run this campaign. It's very expensive.
I just have to say one thing.
give her the mic.
When you were discussing about parents being aware, I was in elementary school and I was attacked did not know the person, but when I was walking home, they jumped out, and I literally had scratches on my face from them. Went home, which wasn't far from the house. My sister was there, contacted my parents, my father, went to the doctor. Meantime, then, my other parent went right to the principal. I gave a description, pulled that person out. They just moved into our small town in Jersey. That person then was sent for and was demanded, because the parents get involved, for psychiatric evaluation.
Okay.
That student was mandated, go.
Right.
You're taking your child, you're going to be checked. And as a parent, you're picking that child up, you're dropping that child off, and you're picking that child up. And you're going to be responsible for that child. And evidently, that child was relocated to a different school, but yet had to go through therapy.
Right.
It's parental responsibility, right?
is.
It's holding accountability.
So I'm glad you did that.
And really, the schools shouldn't have to be saying that to the parents, right? You as a parent should know better. If your child is acting this way, behaving this way, and committing these kinds of incidents, then you need to act as an adult who you are, and you're responsible for the life of that child, and get help for your children.
You mean
Exactly.
parental accountability?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
How about everyone accountability?
But
I think it's a whole nother
I mean, I
topic.
scream at the top of my lungs, and I tell parents, I look at that camera and says, if you think you know your kids, you know you're missing the boat. You don't know your kids. And I have 2 boys. You don't know them. You think you know them. They show you what they want you to
Absolutely.
know. If you don't get hip to the game. Now, I was in auxiliary for, 6 years up in New York. And the psychology of being an auxiliary was to have, and I used to be called every name in the book, but they used to put us up in the Heights, which you know is the cocaine capital of the world.
Yes.
And it was scary because we had no guns. We only had nightsticks and a radio, and we were the eyes of the police. Now, when I called the 1013, they came like this.
Right.
It was, and it worked. The only problem is, I don't even know if they still do the program. I don't even know. I haven't kept in touch
I
with
know
them.
here we don't do that.
And I know you don't do that here because...
Here we have citizens on patrol as far as we go with it.
Really?
Yeah, that's.
Do
that's
they
the
dress
only-
up that look like police, like sheriffs?
No, it's a little bit different, but the cars look just like it. And they're just smaller in size. And it
I
says-
know what the
yeah,
community
it's
thing on the
yeah,
side. But it says community on it.
Citizens on patrol.
Yeah, well, you got to take that off. of that.
Community is community service aid. That's a different
You
thing.
got to take the citizen on patrol out because it's funny, you know. Why is it? I always say this. Why is it? I can always find a criminal, but I can't find a cop.
I hear you.
I got to tell you, where we sit right here, there's the fueling station for the city of Boca Raton. So if you ever need one, just come hang out with us.
Well, you can go over there and get
all day
one.
long. They just keep passing you,
I
filling up their cars.
I'm gonna. You know what? I'm going to make a donut. Not a donut. That's a bad example. A coffee stop for the
Sure.
cops when they come by. They can have some coffee on us.
Put a stand on the outside like a lemonade
I
stand.
did it in Puerto Rico. I'll do it here as
You're
well.
in?
Yeah, we'll put a sign. If you're a sheriff or a cop, I don't know what they call them. I know them as cops. You come
Cops
on.
is fine. And people think that's a derogatory term. It's not.
It's
Cops
okay.
Yeah,
is fine,
cop, come on and have a cup of coffee in the cafe. I would love to do that. I mean, you know, it's about getting involved. And I'm not being a tough guy, but the bottom line here is when something happens, everybody's running in that direction. Only one person is going to go in that direction, right? And that's
Right.
usually a cop.
We need to talk some more about that because that's a whole other topic. This disconnection with the public is a whole other. I'll need an hour for that.
No, I
It's
want to
just-
bring you back. I want to talk about guns in school. I want to
Yeah.
talk about all sorts of
And reaching the
subjects.
community, because you know what, when you go to vote, and because now it's partisan and you have to go through the primaries, right,
Mm-hmm.
and make an educated decision. Just don't check what you think because you see a name or you don't see a name, or leave it blank.
Right.
Make an educated decision. Go to diazforsheriff.com, read your platform, read some of the things. Get involved, get educated, share it with your kids, and you know what? It's about accountability. It's our community.
Right.
Get involved. We should know as much about our community as you think you know about the nation.
And you can follow up on that by simply saying that the great thing is that on a general election, it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, Republican, or Independent, you can vote for anyone on that ticket. So people need to remember that just because you're a Democrat doesn't mean you can't vote for me, or just because you're an Independent doesn't. That's true on a primary, but not on the general election.
Do you have a hub, like an office? That
Yes, my campaign director has that address on that.
I wanna. Sorry, I got it. Leave it there. I wanna go.
agree
I wanna
about
go up
making the
there.
educated a guess.
I want to go up there and maybe take some film and maybe have you take a couple of, I'm going to use some of these. Take some pictures and stuff up there because I love the aspect, again, Latino base. I
We
just
would do
love
that a
it.
little bit faster.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It ain't going to
You know
go
what
past the
coffee
floor.
and wires do? Not so much. Thank you so much
No,
for
thank you.
joining us. Diaz
Appreciate
for
it.
Sheriff. Thank you, Brooke, for joining us. Captain, every day you're here, you bring more and more to our conversation. And of course, to Fernando and Hector, couldn't have done it without, gosh, all these Latino men on the set here today.
I know. And
They're
listen,
totally outnumbered.
and if you have any questions for Captain Diaz, I'm sure that he'll be more than happy.
Absolutely.
Or give us a call on the show, and we'll make sure that he gets the message, because this is a guy, again, very proud of the fact, Latino base, more power to you. But, your program sounds solid, and I'd like to have him come back and we could talk about different things.
Excellent, thank you. I really appreciate it.
561-365-0648. Get educated, get involved. It's about your community, your children, our families. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place at our AMP2 TV studios in Boca Raton.
And don't be late and don't spill the coffee. Yes.
Bye-bye.
Let's all welcome a new sponsor to the show. It's AMP2 TV, the first and only internet production company that's truly plugged in. When you're looking for a full-service internet TV radio production company, discover AMP2 TV, a full-service production company that can provide all streaming videos in studio or remotely. They offer web page development, and they use all the latest platforms to help make all your business selling points more powerful. They can do remotes or live radio streaming, as well as tape productions for social media platforms and television. AMP2 TV can handle all of your television needs, including closed caption for a perfect on-air telecast. Choose from a variety of creative TV and radio packages, or visit one of their many studios to get your creative juices flowing. Come and see why AMP2 TV works with many major companies, including Comcast, Bravo, and Fox 29, as well as individuals and businesses of all types and sizes. To see samples of their work or to find out more, visit their website at amp2.tv. That's AMP, the number 2.tv, or call them at 866-224-5422. Feel free to call for a quote or just a consult of how to put your business on a social media platform or radio platform, or just doing a show that is covered by all platforms. Call 866-224-5422 and make an appointment. That's 866-224-5422.